Today we'll be checking out the music video to Residuals from Chris Brown. Literally just dropped. I've been awaiting this. Easily one of the best R&B songs of the last 12 months. Definitely one of Chris's best ballads also. This is a very heart-rendering song. Like, it really gets you in your feels. Like, lyrically, it's well written. Musically, it's well produced and it's well sung. So, one of his most intimate records. So let's dive into it. I don't know exactly what to expect, so yeah, should probably turn the volume up.
Don't know when my nights became so complicated. Can't recall my mornings, everything is faded. Maybe this is called my definition of jaded.
I have reacted to this song when it was on the album version, so obviously it's a song I know. But I just want to say, musically, this song does so much. We're in the key of like, I think we're actually in A major. I really like about the way the song is structured. It's like it does this thing where it's da 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 da. So she's like dabbling in between this. So it's like, then it gets back to that dabbling. Like, this is when it was overseas, right? On tour. South Africa, Brazil. Yeah. Alright, so I like the concept of it being for the fans, I'm going to assume.
Don't know when my nights became so complicated. Can't recall my mornings, everything is faded. Maybe this is called my definition of jaded. This stays on my mind. This stays on my mind.
You know, it's like definition of shaded. It's just the way that harmony works, yo.
It became so complicated. Can't recall my mornings, everything is faded. Maybe this is called my definition of jaded. This stays on my mind. This stays on my mind. Trying to put a muzzle on my crazy feelings. 1 minute I'm cold and then the next I'm tripping. No, with somebody new, I swear she don't deserve it. It's still on my mind. She's still on my mind.
So, you know, like Residuals, it speaks to like this longing or this wanting for what you had with a past love. And I feel like that's a sentiment almost everyone can relate with at a point. So it's kind of get, all right, visually what's being presented to me, my interpretation that is he's performing this song night after night on tour, right? So maybe that speaks to this turmoil that he's feeling post breakup as being something that's been repeated. Like it's a repetitious cycle of him longing for this person. And it's kind of like a unbreakable torture, really. And they use this effect where it's like crossfading between scenes that makes it feel like this has been going on for quite some time. So I feel like that's what he's going for visually, with just different nights of him going through the same thing over and over again on stage, performing this song.
Build it up just to let it wash away. Tell me, did I lace you up just to watch you run away? Please tell me who's getting on my love? Who's getting on my love?
All right, so the way this song is structured, it's like I feel like this pre-chorus that we build it up, it almost functions as like a bridge, and you don't get that a lot in modern R&B music today, especially like from Chris. Like you don't get bridges that often. So what they do is like they go from this, go to like this two minor. So it's like Did I lace you up? Lace you up? And then the harmony over there, run away. It goes like a octave up. And pretty much what an octave is like twice the twice the hertz of the original note. So where he was like here for the harmony, he goes here pretty much. So it's just the same note doubled in hertz. Let me run this back a bit.
Lace you up just to watch you run away. Please tell me who's getting on my love? Who's getting on my love? Tell me who's getting on my time? All of that used to be mine. Oh, who did you teach what I taught you? Better not give him my nickname. I don't like thinking about it. I swear that it's wearing me down. No, but tell me who's getting all of mine? Who's getting all of mine? Residuals. Who's getting all of mine? Who's getting all of mine? Residuals. Who's getting all of mine?
So before we get into this new scene, my thoughts. I do like the idea of him being on stage. It's like being in a room filled with people, but somehow you still feel alone. Yeah, I like the idea that I think he might be going for. However, there's this scene, the scene with him in the alley beside the car. It just feels very out of place. I feel like the rest of the video has been very. It's presented in a way where there is a closeness to it, like there's a fondness or an intimacy to it. But then that scene just feels very much like a typical music video scene. I feel like narratively it's gonna serve a purpose as the video continues, but while the rest of the video feels like this intimate moment with him, I feel that scene just very much contrasts the visual aesthetic that they were going for. It's a very clean, sharp visual, while the rest of it feels a bit more, you know, close to home. We see him walk in like a on a studio set, so I'm assuming this is gonna transition into something else. But so far, it's been a pleasant watch.
Residual. Made it clear you didn't wanna see the sequel. I was lying when I said the feelings mutual. It took some time to realize all the different people, and love is blind. I see love is blind. Can we build it up, just to let it wash away? And tell me that I lace you up, just to watch you run away. Please tell me who's getting on my love? Who's getting on my love? Tell me who's getting on my time?
All right, so I think it's interesting to see where the video starts off with him in a a stadium full of people, right? And I was talking about it feeling like you're in a place where you're surrounded by all these people who love you. Like we saw signs, we love you, Chris, and all that. But somehow there's still this longing or this wanting for your person, like for this closeness with this set individual, right? And then we see him transition to this is like a virtual stadium. I feel like this might be an analogy for like his mind space, like where he's at mentally while he's on stage, while we're seeing it from the perspective of the audience, like in the first section. This is actually how he sees it while he's on stage, if that makes sense, y'all. So we see he's still in a stadium, but this time it's an empty room pretty much. Like there's no one there, and it even instead of this intimacy, it transforms into this almost loneliness. I just feel like that's what he's going for. It's an idea that I feel like still needs a bit more fleshing out, but uh,
Who's getting on my love? Tell me who's getting on my love?
okay.
Who did you teach what I taught you? Better not give him my nickname. I don't like thinking about it. I swear that it's wearing me down. No, but tell me who's getting all of mine? Who's getting all of mine? Residuals.
Right. Let, let me run this back a bit. You know that saying where they say nothing tells the truth like the eyes will. Just look at this. She has really pretty eyes. They're like green, yellowish. His eyes almost look dead, if I'm being honest. But probably that's like intentional. It's interesting this lead. We see him close his eyes, and when he opens it, pretty much this is who he sees. This is who he envisions in his mind. This is pretty much the person that he's singing the song for, in a sense. So as I was saying, like you're in a crowd full of people, but you're still craving that one person. So I feel like that ties in. I mean, it makes some sense. Uh, Interesting to see the way that you realize the closer she gets to him, it's kind of like the further apart they are. Because as she walks to him, and you see like he's reaching out for her, but he can't seem to touch her. Like it's just never enough to touch her. I feel like that's what they're going for. It's self-explanatory. I don't feel like I should be explaining this. Makes sense. I think it's an interesting concept, but I want to talk about the vocal mixing at the end. Some of those vocals definitely must have been from the live show, not in the original at all. Um, but it's interesting to see the way. Let me just play it again.
Who did you teach what I taught you? Better not give him my nickname. I don't like thinking about it. I swear that it's wearing me down. No, but tell me who's getting.
Like when he gets that, oh yeah, they kind of start doing this doubling where they're feeding in live vocals, right? Is that him like being pulled back to the reality that this person is God, right? I feel like I feel like that's what he's going for, especially with
Getting all of mine? Who's getting all of mine? Residual.
yeah. For me, that's what I get. Like this video starts off with him on stage, right? And that's where he is, like physically in that sense, but mentally or emotionally, he's actually in a more intimate place where he's conveying this message to this specific individual, right? But and we see how that progresses throughout the video where he's envisioning her like presently being before him, and it's just the two of them in a stadium essentially. But by the time we get to the end, we see where he's getting a bit more of a grip on reality, where we hear those live studio those live stadium versions of the vocals coming in, where he's kind of like being snapped back into the reality that this person is no longer here, but he has to carry on that performance essentially. So I mean, the video was not what I expected. I kind of expected him to be standing up inside a window, staring outside, rain falling. I didn't expect dancing, and I'm glad that there isn't really any dancing here. I don't feel like this needs that. So overall, it's a pleasant watch as is, but I feel like with the story or the writing of it, it could have been a bit more tighter knit together. I don't know if I'm grasping at straws or my interpretation is exactly what him and the director were going for, but yeah, it's a great song. It's a really amazing song actually, and it's a pleasant video. It's a pleasant experience, so I don't mind it at all. Pretty good. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10.